Hey boys and girls. So last week we did equivalent ratios and ratio tables. This week we are going to move on to rates and unit rates. If you want to, there's a link that you can download this page so you can go along with me and fill it in as I discuss it. All right, if you look at the first star, it says a rate is a ratio in which the two terms are measured in different units. So when you fill it in, it should look like this. All right, a unit rate is found by dividing the rate's second term or number to decrease that unit to 1. Unit rate means you are finding one item of the rate. So, if you look at the next section, it says to write the rate and the unit rate for these 4 different groups. So for number 1, if you have 25 flowers for 5 vases, all you're going to do is you're going to write it as a fraction with flowers in the numerator, vases in the denominator. So for this one, you will have 25 flowers over 5 vases. That's your rate. Your unit rate, you want the denominator's number to be 1. So 5 divided by 5 equals 1. So 25 divided by 5 equals 5, which means that you're going to have 5 flowers per 1 vase. So there are 3 different ways you can say this. You can either say 5 flowers per 1 vase. You can say 5 flowers per vase. Or you could say 5 flowers in each vase. So any of those 3 ways to say it is fine. On number 2, it says you have 252 students in 9 classes. So that means you're going to have students in the numerator, classes in the denominator. So if you have 252 students in 9 classes, if you divide both of those numbers by 9, you end up with 28 students per class, or for every 1 class. On number 3, it says if a car travels 350 miles in 7 hours, what is the rate per hour? So to do this, we're once again going to set up a rate and a unit rate. So if we're looking for miles per hour, you have to have miles in the numerator, hours in the denominator. So you have 350 miles for every 7 hours. If we divide both of those numbers by 7, you get 50 miles for every 1 hour, and we would say 50 miles per hour. Okay. Now we're going to move on to number 4. Over 5 days, 8,208 people visited an amusement park. About how many people visited the park each day? So once again, we're going to start off writing our rate and then our unit rate. Our rate would be 8,208 people for 5 days. So if we do a unit rate, 8,208 divided by 5 gives us 1,641.6 people. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think that 0.6 of a person can show up at an amusement park one day. And so that is why the question says about how many people. So since that decimal is above 5, we're going to say our answer is about 1,642 people per day. Okay, the next example is using double number lines. It's the same concept as ratio tables. So right here, it says, write a rate that represents the situation. Now, if I look at this double number line, they both start off at 0, but they increase by different amounts. So the top line is increasing 15 each of those different sections, and the hours at the bottom are all increasing by 1. So if I'm asked just to write one rate that describes the situation, I can choose any of 4 rates from that double number line. I can either say $15 over 1 hour, $30 over 2 hours, $45 for 3 hours, or $60 for every 4 hours. So those you can find by using the numbers that are right on top of each other on our double number line. Okay, at the top of the next page, example 3, we are going to decide whether the rates are equivalent. So we have 2 different rates. Number 1, we have 30 beats per 20 seconds and 90 beats per 60 seconds. Now we have 2 different ways that we can decide whether the rates are equivalent. One way would be to set up your rates, so 30 beats per 20 seconds, 90 beats per 60 seconds, and you can see that both of these, to create the new numerator, you can multiply 30 times 3 equals 90, 20 times 3 equals 60, and since both of them use the same number to be multiplied, yes, these are equivalent ratios, or equivalent rates. Now, a new way that you can do it, and some people find this method easier, is cross multiplication. So if I look at this and I set up my 2 rates, 30 beats for 20 seconds, 90 beats for 60 seconds, when I cross multiply, I'm going to say the numerator of my first rate times the denominator of my second rate. And then my denominator of my first rate times the numerator of my second rate. So 30 times 60, 90 times 20. If they are equivalent, you should get equal numbers. So in this case, you get 1,800 equals 1,800. So yes, they are equivalent. Now, if we go to the second one and we go back to our other method, 15 pages in 20 minutes, 10 pages in 15 minutes. If I set up my rates, 15 pages in 20 minutes, 10 pages in 15 minutes, to get from 15 pages to 10 pages, I have to multiply that times 2/3. To get from 20 minutes to 15 minutes, I have to multiply by 3/4. Since I'm not multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the same number or the same fraction, they are not equivalent. Now, if we go to our cross multiplication method, on this one, if you multiply this numerator and that denominator, 15 times 15, and then denominator times numerator, 20 times 10, you get 225 equals 200, and that's not a true statement. And so, no, they are not equivalent. So both methods gave us the same answer. We just did it a different way. All right, example 4. Now we're moving on to better buy. Now this is a great real life skill because when you're in the grocery store, if you're trying to figure out, okay, is this cereal that is the regular a better buy, does it cost less per ounce or for whatever it is than this one that's the family size. Sometimes the family size is better, sometimes the other is better. But this is how we do it. So, step 1, we write the unit rate for each sandwich, or write the rate for each sandwich, then find the unit rate for each sandwich, and compare the better buy, which one costs the least. So for this first one, you can buy 3 sandwiches for $4.95 or 4 sandwiches for $6.72. Which is the better buy? So I'm going to set up a rate, $4.95 for 3 sandwiches. That means that it's $1.65 per sandwich. And then for the next one, $6.72 for 4 sandwiches. That tells me that I have to pay $1.68 per sandwich. So looking at those two, I can see that paying $1.65 per sandwich is better than paying $1.68 per sandwich. So I need to go back and answer my question. 3 sandwiches for $4.95. That answers the question, which is the better buy? Now if we go to number 2 in this section, you can buy 20 ounces of cereal for $4.40 or 16 ounces of the same brand for $3.68. Which is the better buy? So if I go through and set up my rates, $4.40 for 20 ounces means that that purple one costs 22 cents per ounce. And then $3.68 for 16 ounces means I'm paying 23 cents per ounce. So now that I've gotten this and I can see 22 cents is less than 23 cents. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to go back here and say 20 ounces for $4.40. That's answering my question, which is the better buy? All right, getting close now. Next example, solving word problems using unit rates and or proportions. You get to choose which one works best for you. So for this one, a chef buys 6 pounds of shrimp for $39. How much will the chef pay for 11 more pounds of shrimp? So what we're going to do in this one, we are going to use that equivalent ratio table. So what we're doing here is step 1, we're going to write down the rate. Up here, 6 pounds for $39. So if my cost is $39 and my shrimp in pounds is $6. So that's my first rate. Now I can't go from 6 pounds to 11 pounds really easily. So instead of trying to jump straight from here to there, I'm going to have a middle step where I have the unit rate. So 6 divided by 6 equals 1. So 39 divided by 6 equals 6.5. I wrote down 6.50 because we're talking about money. So it costs $6.50 for 1 pound of shrimp. All right, so when we go from our unit rate to our answer, we want to know how much 11 pounds costs. So 1 times 11 is 11. $6.50 times 11 is $71.50. So that's how much 11 pounds of shrimp cost. So once again, I'm going to go back up and make sure that I answer my question in the blank. $71.50. Okay, the second way to do this is by using proportions. Same problem, exact same. Chef buys 6 pounds of shrimp for $39. So method 2, step 1, we're going to set up your proportion. The first part is going to be your rate, 39 over 6. Remember when setting up your proportion to keep the same units across from each other. So since we do 39 over 6, the 39 is talking about our dollars, the 6 is talking about the weight in pounds. So 39 over 6 equals x over 11 because we're looking for how much 11 pounds is going to cost. All right, step 2, we are going to cross multiply. So just like when we were trying to figure out if they were equivalent, since we know that these are equivalent, I know that if I multiply the numerator of this one times the denominator of the second, and the denominator of the first times the numerator of the second, that they're going to be equal because they have told us that they are equal. So when I do that, 6 times x equals 6x. 39 times 11 gives us 429. Step 3, now use inverse operations because all this is a one-step equation. So use inverse operations to isolate your variable and solve the equation to find the missing number. X is your answer or your solution. So when I divide both sides by 6, I get $71.50, which is the exact same answer I got when I did this method. And then the last part. It says on your own, but I'm going to do it with you because if you want to, you could pause it, try this on your own, but I'm going to go on and do it with you. So for number 2, a potter makes 6 bowls in 3 hours. How long would it take for him to make 14 bowls? So if we're going to use the unit rate method, I need to set up my rate, which is 6 bowls in 3 hours. Then my unit rate would be 2 bowls in 1 hour. And they ask how many or how long will it take for him to make 14 bowls. So I know the top, I know the numerator. So since 2 times 7 equals 14, 1 times 7 equals 7, and so my answer for this is 7 hours. Here we go. So make sure you go back and write your answer. Then for the bottom part, your proportion method, if I write my rate and then my missing number and unit, then solve the equation. X will be my answer or the solution. So 6 bowls in 3 hours equals 14 bowls in an unknown amount of hours. So I'm going to cross multiply. 6 times x equals 14 times 3. Simplify that, 6x equals 42. I'm going to divide by the coefficient. I'm going to divide both sides by 6. 42 divided by 6 equals 7. So both methods, we get 7 hours. I hope this video has been helpful, and if you have any questions, you can either email me and I will try to get back to you, or it would be better for you to show up on Wednesday to our conference on Canvas. I will see you then, and I hope y'all are having a great week.